WW, trying to move away from focusing on weight watching. Never mind. Philip Morris changed its official name to Altria, trying to show we offer more than cigarettes. Also, a quick way to hide, we do sell cigarettes. So here comes MSNBC. NBC wants a divorce. Now, there is an NBC, but MSNBC doesn't like that linkage. Whatever MS meant, they want out of it. So MSNBC will now become MS Now. The company president said, this rebranding underscores our mission for first-rate journalism. You think that changing MSNBC to just MS Now does that? I think they need another rebranding. BS Now?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
The Napoli heritage of fine dining continues with Napoli Kirkwood. Napoli Kirkwood, now open. So add that to Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. And don't forget about Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district, Chesterfield Valley. All of those locations, plus now, open, Napoli Kirkwood. You want the best place to watch baseball or any sport and be able to enjoy premium cigars and whiskeys? Lit Cigar Lounge. Lit has so many events each month. You need to constantly check the Lit Cigar Lounge Facebook. You don't want to miss anything. Plus, you can order food from Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, delivered within minutes right to your table. By the way, we're in the season for great patio dining. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta has your table waiting.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Well. Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn over there, and a big day here at the Allman Report. Got a bunch of stuff to lay on you, including a follow-up to our interview yesterday with the Real America's Voice White House correspondent, Brian Glenn, who once again had a question that was heard around the world with Zelensky, and it's gotten pretty funny, and so we'll follow up on that just a little bit. I want to go right to the esteemed former Senator Bill Eigel, now running for St. Charles County Executive, who notched a victory of sorts on behalf of a bunch of people who were not happy about this planned data center. And it actually looked like it was almost a done deal, because you know how these things go, Bill Eigel. They have these hearings and they have people come in. And normally with things like this, it's already rubber stamped, But, man, this was the people speaking. So tell me about it. How you doing? First of all, hi.
I'm doing great,
Good.
Jamie. Yeah, and this has been a fantastic, a fantastic, I think, victory. Maybe not the only victory we need, but a victory and a move in the right direction. Where yesterday, after enormous public pressure, the end user that wanted to build this massive data center up in St. Charles City withdrew their application for a hazardous use permit, and right now the project is on indefinite hold. So first, the first thing I would say is I was just one of literally thousands of people in St. Charles County that kind of came forward and said, "Hey, this is not good for our communities." And I'll tell you right now, the credit goes to the engaged citizens of St. Charles County who showed up, pressured their city councilmen, got the word out, and did education about why this was going to be a bad deal for St. Charles City and really St. Charles County at large, and really, turned the tide and got folks against it, and won a big victory, at least in the short term, against big corporate entities like this coming in and devouring our natural resources.
It's really interesting too, because normally, I mean, just your reptilian brain, when you hear about a big data center coming in, and you suddenly think about jobs and economic development and all this kind of stuff. But I think the key phrase within all this is a hazardous use permit. So what, I mean, how, and these are going up all over the country, by the way, because President Trump has wanted that to happen. Ironically, I know that you're a big supporter of his, and I am too. But the hazardous use permit, what is that? What was that all about?
Well, the hazardous use permit that the end user was applying for had to do with the fact that the company was planning on storing up to 1 million gallons of diesel fuel on this site to potentially power backup generators in the event that the main power lines went down. So you were going to have a lot of gasoline stored on that site. And this is the same site that's already sustained contamination from some of the Ameren substations with the vinyl chloride issue that St. Charles has been suffering from for the past few years. So it already has environmental issues. And now we were talking about potentially putting 1 million gallons of diesel fuel on there. So that would have been an entire, a huge possible train wreck. And so that the Planning and Zoning Commission in St. Charles City actually denied that hazardous use permit, and so it was going to be up to the city to override planning and zoning. And of course, when the pressure got too much, the company pulled its permit, even though we still don't actually know who the company was, and we still don't have a lot of answers to what exactly they were going to do on site. I think that's why there was so much opposition.
Yeah, and that's unusual too, because you'd think that there would be a level of transparency involved here, and I know the St. Charles City folks and the county folks, I mean, I know they're good people. I didn't appear that there was anybody kind of on the take or sellouts or whatever, but it is kind of unusual to have something this large, this big of a project or an entity where you didn't know who was behind it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, apparently every city council member signed a non-disclosure agreement that prevented them from basically sharing any information. And listen, I understand that if the government is in negotiations with Kentucky Fried Chicken, they don't want to reveal the secret recipe.
Right.
I get that, and that's a danger to the possible corporation involved. But the questions that were being asked about this data center these were basic, legitimate, needful questions like, how much water are you going to use? How much electricity are you going to use? How are you going to mitigate the risk to the environment for the storage of all that gasoline? How much new infrastructure is going to have to be brought in by the electric company that are going to then be passed along as additional costs to the ratepayers elsewhere in the city? What are going to be the impacts in terms of light pollution and sound pollution for the residents that live near the site? These aren't corporate secrets. These are things that residents need to know. And the fact that we just kept hearing, oh, well, that's classified like it's some sort of CIA operation is just nuts. And so I don't know that I've met someone yet that is actually supportive of the project. And I think that's why you saw it go down, at least in the short term. Now, I will say this, Jamie, the company has already said they're going to try to rework their proposal and resubmit it. So I think the battle is won, but I'm not sure the war is done just yet.
Yeah, and I guess just if we kind of backtrack and look at the guts of this process, it does seem almost unusual. Maybe it's not, but I'm sure a lot of citizens thought so, that that the council members would even sign a non-disclosure agreement, because it seems like that's kind of antithetical to their representation of their districts.
Well, and I think it is unusual that we're talking about a 440-acre industrial site in the city limits of St. Charles City. You know, St. Charles City doesn't have a whole lot of room left to begin with, and so occupying a formerly contaminated, environmentally contaminated site and deciding to maybe put an industrial site that presents the not only risk of higher utility rates to its other citizens, but also potentially endangers it for additional contamination. I mean, when you really step back and look at this, I don't know what they were thinking. Actually, I'm sorry, I do know what they were thinking. I think that the city was thinking to themselves, we're going to get a lot of tax revenue off of this.
Yeah.
We're going to make a lot of money, and then we're going to have more money to spend. I think that was really the limit of any benefit that anyone proposed or were hoping to realize for the city is, hey, more tax dollars. And interestingly, someone actually asked, I think the mayor of St. Charles, if you get more revenue, does that mean our tax burden will come down elsewhere? And you know what the answer was? No.
Of course not.
So I think it was mishandled from start to finish, and I'm thankful that the residents of St. Charles really came out against it.
Yeah, that's a new one in the realm of public officialdom, where a citizen would ask a public official, and the public official's response would be, "I can't tell you." It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I mean, they're not. It's not like they're on the intelligence committee or anything. It's just like, come on, this is unbelievable. And I'm sure you're aware, apparently these data centers are going up all over the country in a lot of these smaller communities.
Yeah, they are. And the concerns that were raised about this site kind of came from some of the experience that others have had with these data centers around the country. They require an enormous amount of electricity. The best that we could tell, and again, we couldn't get concrete answers, but it was going to double both the electricity and the water consumption requirements of the entire, the rest of St. Charles City. I mean, it was going to be as much as every other user of water and electricity everywhere else in St. Charles City. It's an enormous amount of infrastructure that's already providing tens of thousands of people these services. And when we don't even have concrete answers to where are we going to get the water from, where are we going to get the electricity from, it starts making people nervous. It was just a couple of years ago when we had the contamination problem on the wells, that the wells that service St. Charles City with water had to be shut down, and the city was getting its water from the city of St. Louis. We had a drought that year, and the city was terrified that they weren't going to be able to meet the demands of just the regular citizens. So now we're talking about doubling that consumption, and the only answer we can get is that the answers are classified. This is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's going to have to be looked at just as from a process point of view, because I'm sure that did not make the citizens happy about that, and it didn't come to the meeting probably have their eyes open by how this whole thing went down. So crazy. All right, so how's this?
And I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to ask.
I was just going to filibuster.
How is this county executives race going, buddy?
Fantastic. I tell you, it's this will be my fourth race in St. Charles County, and in St. Charles County, I'm undefeated. I won twice for state senate, and I won handily in the gubernatorial race. I beat Mike Kehoe by 14 points in that race, and I think that this next conversation I'm having is really just extending a relationship I've been blessed to have with the people of St. Charles County for more than a decade. So we're going to be talking about some new things that are a little more pressing at the local level that certainly I didn't talk about at the state level. But some of the themes I'm very excited and already getting a lot of positive feedback on. For example, we've got a plan in place. We're going to get rid of personal property tax in St. Charles County. It's actually time to reduce the tax burden, and in the absence of action by Jefferson City, the local areas have the ability to make these kind of changes on their own. So I think folks, just like they've been interested and they've been supporting me for years, I'm looking forward to this conversation for the next 11 months. Everything's going well. Our fundraising is going well. Polling looks great, but really just I'm ever thankful for the relationship that I've enjoyed with the people of St. Charles County. We're the biggest Republican county in the state. My intention is to keep it that way.
Yeah, I probably should know this already, but I guess I was not aware that municipal entities could actually get rid of the personal property tax on their own without the state.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah,
that is absolutely right. We are so St. Charles, of course, is a charter county. We're going to be working through our county. And what a lot of folks don't realize is St. Charles County has a multi-million-dollar, tens of millions of dollars in budget surplus right now. We have a massive budget that I think we can make much more efficient. And I'm not talking about the budget of the schools. I'm not talking about the budget of the firefighters. I'm not talking about the budget of our libraries. I'm talking about the county budget. What we take in personal property tax countywide is just a fraction of compared to the entire county budget. So I've always been a guy that's talked and acted on making government more efficient. We're going to do that in St. Charles County. We're going to be the first, and we will be the first county to get rid of personal property tax. So I think folks are interested in that, and I'm blessed to have their support.
Are you an attorney by trade, by any chance?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
I am not. Just a small business owner veteran. No, never been I'm not that smart. Not that smart.
Okay, I was just wondering because when you mentioned Mike Kehoe, I was thinking, well, though it's safe to say after you ran against him that Bill Eigel will not be the next Missouri Attorney General. So I just was thinking, I was wondering.
that never entered my mindset, and certainly. I know that I for one, I'm happy for Andrew Bailey. I am stunned to see him make this decision. Quite honestly, I thought he was doing some pretty good work over in Jefferson City, and I guess he's going to be the deputy co-director of the FBI. And so we'll see how his replacement does. But high expectations for Catherine Hanaway.
We will definitely miss him. That is for sure. So that's interesting. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I know that Hanaway. Yeah, I mean that was that kind of not necessarily out of the blue, but she's been around the block, so she knows a little bit about how things work, and she's a great person too. So yeah. All right, buddy. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Congrats on the fight, and thank you, Bill Eigel.
All right. Thanks, Jamie. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Good luck with everything, too. Yeah. Yep. We'll talk more about that a little bit. Catherine Hanaway, too. She used to be an aide to Senator Kit Bond. I think she was his chief of staff, actually. I mean, that was when, in the beginning, obviously governor, too. So we know all about that. Man, it was fun yesterday, and my buddy Brian Glenn, who is the White House correspondent for Real America's Voice, had another soundbite that went around the world, so we'll follow up on that and the reaction, which is some of it quite stunning. You ought to hear Obama's ex-member of his administration praising President Trump. So all that and more, this is Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report, and don't forget the 3 Martini Lunch.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, Newstedter's Fine Jewelers. Oh, I got to tell you, when I mentioned the jewelers part of it, it is interesting because there are a lot of places out there that are selling jewelry. Beautiful jewelry, whatever. But the people who are manning the stations are not jewelers. They're salespeople. And what a difference that makes when you are dealing with jewelers as opposed to salespeople in the whole experience that you're going to get at Newstedter's Fine Jewelry and Jewelers. And it's right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. They have just an amazing array of the engagement sets. They have the mine diamonds as well as those beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They have constantly getting in a new stock of gold. They kind of search the world for gold stashes, and so they have these beautiful pieces there. Gold is back in style, as you might be aware. So everybody's wearing gold these days, and they've got a whole array of gold from which to choose. And they also have a layaway program for you. They have the beautiful gemstones, the emeralds and sapphires. Like, it's so old school, but that's coming back too. If you happen to have grandma's ring laying around, well, imagine how you can reimagine that. Newsteaders loves to kind of take family heirlooms and turn them into some modern piece of jewelry, which really is great. It's fancy. It makes a wonderful gift or something to have, even if you are wanting to use grandma's wedding ring or what have you. They know how to do it, and they're great. Richard Newsteader, growing up in the jewelry business, he was 17 years old working for Jackards downtown. Still, of course, the poobah over there at Newsteader's Fine Jewelry. And also, folks, he is the only remaining, well, one of the few remaining master engravers. I know he's the only one in Missouri, but around the country. And so if you need something especially engraved, that's perfect too. And don't forget about the Frank Sinatra Bulova watch, which I'm sporting myself, and all kinds of other beautiful Bulova watches on site for you as well. It's Newsteader's Fine Jewelry, wowdiamonds.com, right there at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
We talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity. And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
If she wants to dance and drink all night, well, there's no one that can stop her. She's going till the house lights come up, her stomach spills onto the floor. This night is gonna end when we're damn well.
So, yeah, Catherine Hanaway I got to tell you, I admire her decision to become Missouri Attorney General. I mean, she is a former prosecutor, former Speaker of the House. As I said, former staffer for Kit Bond and everything else. She's really good. And she's a great person. And I made her governor, but she ran for governor a long time ago. But a good person. But, man, she had a pretty cushy job at the silk stocking law firm of Hush and Blackwell. So I admire her picking up the public service mantle again, as she did. And she's a good person. This will be interesting to watch her. And I think, one of the things I know Nick Shore was mentioned too. That would have been great because he's kind of a pit bull as well, but Catherine Hanaway is too. So she won't mind me saying this either, but she smokes cigars. And I don't know, there's something about a woman smokes cigars I really super admire. I'm not saying you should you ladies need to start smoking cigars for approval. But it's a cool thing. Every once in a while, I'd see her out and about, and she'd be out there smoking a cigar with the boys. Ashlyn, your grandmother smoked cigars? Okay, I saw you writing on that board. It started with my grandma, so it must be. I was thinking, I wasn't going to think it said my grandma doesn't smoke cigars. It was going to say my grandma does smoke cigars. What's her name, Ashlyn? Because I know she listens to the show because she's trying to keep an eye on you.
Her name's Becky.
Becky. Aw. That's nice. Hi, Becky. Thanks for listening to the show. Allison is asking about any updates on Stel Ponticus. Well, it's just so odd that you should ask that question, Allison, because I just was messaging with Stel before the show to get him back on as a guest and give us an update on. Oh, he's doing great, by the way. He's recovering well and everything else, but just to have him on to see what he's been thinking as he's been laid up and watching TV or on the internet or what have you. So Stel's doing great, and probably as of probably tomorrow you'll hear him because he and I were talking about getting together for a reunion of sorts. This was great. As you know, I had Brian Glenn on the show, fresh out of the Oval Office yesterday. It was really cool to be able to have him there, and he's again offered to roll out the red carpet, so to speak, for me to do the show up there. As he said, Pebble Beach, which is, I guess, a part of where the press sits or whatever. It's not really Pebble Beach, California. And so I might take him up on that come fall time and see how that goes. I'd like to shadow him for a little while. That'd be great. But anyway, in following up with the Zelensky suit or no suit thing, by the time I had him on right as he left the Oval Office, and we were going in and out of the news conference or the press briefing or whatever it was. They were sitting there, and so I did not have the actual soundbite. He did tell the story of it, but this is how it went. And what I noticed, actually, this is really kind of amazing about the world we're living in and the atmosphere that we're living in. And I got to tell you, when you see people, I can't imagine this was a get together over a war and peace talks and everything else. And they still find time to laugh a little bit, which is really kind of amazing. I mean, you didn't see that kind of stuff when Roosevelt met Stalin, right? At the end of World War II. You didn't see that kind of stuff, but it's isn't it refreshing? But I'll tell you one thing, though. It made all of the left wing and the media mad. How could they be laughing at a time like this? It's like, well, it's about time. Sometimes you don't have to take every little thing seriously. And actually, President Trump during this exchange was highly entertained, I'll tell you. And it was really fascinating to watch. And hey, come on now. Is it not going to work for me? Here we go. Oh, I got to turn it on. This is coming from Facebook, and I can't start it now. I don't know why. Here, hold on a second here, dear. I don't know how to get the audio on this. Is this it? Let me see. I don't know how to get the audio to play on this. I just had it playing.
Is there a little microphone in the bottom?
There wasn't, but it was. Let me see here a second. Here, let me see. Oh, hang on a second here. I have to. It made me log back in because I squirted it from my phone. But I'll play it for you off my phone. That'll be better, and you'll be able to hear it that way. I know this is terrible radio, but you can give me a break. I just started in the business, and I'm just getting my sea legs going, and I'm so happy that News Talk took the opportunity to take a chance on me. So that's where it's at.
You look fabulous in that suit. I said the same thing. Yeah, you look good. I said the same thing. Yeah, it's that nice that the one that attacked you last time. See, I remember that. Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit.
Says you're wearing the same suit, dude.
Maybe yours is much better.
So that was funny, and it was a great exchange. And President Trump was laughing his butt off. And I love that part where President Trump was basically he was trying to. He had these two guys. He was trying to like juice it up. President Trump is a poker, man. He's the guy who attacked you last time around. Zelensky, he's just trying to egg these two on into another fight and everything else. So it's about time. I just love the joviality and the jocularity of a lot of these kinds of events, as serious as everything is. Now, to step in and ruin it all, of course, is Mr. Potato Head Brian Stelter of CNN, or formerly of CNN. This whole thing. He's still their media correspondent, apparently, even though I thought he left, and now he's back there. So he didn't like the fact, and neither did a lot of these correspondents. He pointed something out yesterday, because Brian Glenn makes all these stuffy correspondents all upset because he gets a lot of the attention. President Trump really likes him. And so they try to demean Brian as much as they can. But this is what Brian Stelter tweeted out yesterday. Veteran White House correspondents privately grumbled as a MAGA online personality. And that's not exactly true. I mean, he's Brian Glenn is a correspondent for Real America's Voice, and I guess you could call that online, whatever you can get on TV. Anyway, the MAGA online personality dominated the Q&A during a photo op with President Trump. And Trump was mostly served with setups and everything else, and these guys are all, and this is what he also pointed out. This display, especially in front of foreign leaders, is so embarrassing, a White House correspondent remarked to me. Many of the questions aren't designed to get answers, but to create another confrontation or make Trump look good. That's not journalism. I'm like, dude, have you seen Caitlin over there from CNN? Have you seen any of these other correspondents that continue to pick at President Trump or Caroline Levitt or whatever? Do you remember Jim Acosta? I mean, come on. And so, or Jonathan Karl, or all these guys for that matter. And it's so funny to watch people who were so upset at people having a joyful time and removing them from being in the way, because they're all just a bunch of crabs, and they find something to bitch about every single time, and they're not working really for the United States of America. They're working for themselves, and they're trying to impress their friends and everything else. On another really actually serious note, but it's great to know, the former U.S. ambassador to Russia under Barack Obama, his name is Michael McFaul, he was saying, man, this was a great thing that happened yesterday.
I think this was a very positive meeting. And whoever had the idea to bring all these European leaders together, in addition to President Zelensky, that was a brilliant, brilliant idea.
Whose idea do you think that was? I mean, I understand you don't want to gush too hard, but this idea of, I mean, again, he's praising the whole move, but he's like, whoever had that idea, it's like, who do you think had that idea?
And having it come so quickly after Alaska was also very important, because now they've changed the talking points here. Just in this meeting alone, they've walked back some of the positions that the president was echoing when he met with President Putin. So this is very positive progress. The fact that they're talking about a ceasefire again, Chancellor Merch brought it up in particular. There's no logic. I want to underscore this idea that a ceasefire gets in the way of negotiations, that is not historically true. And why should people continue to die while they're negotiating? So
yeah, so nothing among the smarter set that don't have the Trump derangement syndrome, they're praising this because there's only so much that you can naysay about when something is so positive and it's right in front of your face. So yesterday was indeed a great day for America and indeed the world. And are we going to get another great day as we finally rid the state of initiative petitions? I'm going to have a guy who's really working hard to do just that. And I know I've talked about it before with some politicians, but this is a grassroots effort to get a special session to finally rid the state, or at least modify the initiative petition process so that it could be more representative of its origination. And this is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Yes, Window World, the rock star in the realm of rock stardom. Window World is simply the best for less. And we're talking about Window World having these windows that are backed by a lifetime guarantee on all parts and glass breakage and everything else. And so Window World is not only very proud of its windows, but it also is backing those windows up. Simply the best for less, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. 314-993-1800. And they're one of two windows in the world, so to speak, with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And Remodelers Magazine, Qualified Remodelers Magazine, which is kind of the Bible for remodelers, says this window is selling like crazy because remodelers love it. Homeowners love it. They love how it looks, not only from the inside, but also the curb appeal of these beautiful windows. If you were deciding on a whole house project, by the way, Window World will cobble together a financing plan for you so you don't have to lay it all out right off the bat. Free home estimates. These windows also, by the way, are thermally superior to all the rest. If you were tired this summer of cooling the outdoors because of your rickety windows, Window World has a plan for you. These, again, are double pane windows and thermally superior to all the rest, and they are simply the best for less. Window World, 314-993-1800.
A legendary weekend is coming to the Lou. Don't miss the Stiefel Charity Classic presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Watch PGA Tour champions compete and enjoy a live performance by music sensation OAR at Friday's community concert presented by CarShield. Tickets start at just $20. Kids, military, veterans, and first responders get in free. Get your tickets today at StiefelCharityClassic.com.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Well, if you are having trouble sleeping and you can't figure out what the deal is, I mean, I guess the top sleep problem would be snoring. It's not only forcing you to lose so much sleep during the night, your breathing is stopping, but you all know if you have somebody in your family who's doing that, sometimes it, especially even in marriages, it's people are sleeping in separate bedrooms and everything else, and that's no way to live. And sometimes even when it comes to this whole thing with the CPAP machines, you know, there is another way to resolve sleep apnea, and Dr. Ojal with the Clayton Sleep Institute has that right there for you to get it all together and make sure it happens. Restless leg syndrome, that's also a problem. Some people just are waking themselves up throughout the night. And insomnia is another problem. It's kind of the opposite problem where you're not even able to get to sleep. Some people would love to have restless leg syndrome and just get to sleep. And that's a problem too. Insomnia is a big deal And Dr. Ojel knows how to resolve all that. Pediatric sleep problems he knows how to resolve. And he can do it with the take-home apparatus, or he can do it at the actual clinics themselves. These are really boutique hotel-like rooms. You spend the night there. You're monitored all night by a human being. And ultimately, all that information they download winds up helping you resolve problems that are affecting your work and life and overall happiness, sometimes even your weight, because your metabolism is going crazy because you're not getting the proper sleep. So check it out at ClaytonSleep.com. That's ClaytonSleep.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Property tax reform is a huge deal to most Missourians, which is why we'll have David Stokes and Niall Stevens on to discuss on Tuesday's show.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Rehab, I said no. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, no. I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. We've got a fancy News Talk car, you know. It's a Barracuda or something like that. I can't remember what it is. It's one of those muscle cars that Ethan, our sales guru, has, and he allowed the station to wrap it in the News Talk regalia. It's got a spoiler on it and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool looking, and it's going to be appearing at a bunch of car shows as we go through late August and September, early September, so you can go and check it out and get your picture taken with it and everything else. Ethan's not going to let you drive it. I know that. I've already asked. He doesn't even let me near it. Yeah. One time I walk out in the parking lot and, well, first of all, you can't really look at Ethan. He doesn't allow you to look him right in the eye. And he's in his car, and he will kind of look out the window and say, "You're not getting close to the car, are you?" I go, No, I'm just going to my car, dude. I'm sorry. So he's very protective of this beautiful gem. And you can see it. The first time is this Friday, actually, at Cars and Cigars at the Lit Lounge. It's a great little place in Chesterfield. And that goes from 6 to 10. Oh, and also he's not going to let you smoke a cigar in it either. I guarantee that. And then Saturday, it's the Beyond the Badge car show at Jackson Park Elementary, my alma mater in U City, to benefit Beyond the Badge, supporting law enforcement. So that's pretty cool. That's going to be there. And you can go online at newstalkstl.com and find out where all the other ones will be as well. Yeah, Jackson Park Elementary. That's cool. I'm happy about that. I went to grade school there. Never forget lunch lady Mrs. Rose. She'd walk around. She's always so crazy. She had these pointy glasses on. Children! Oh, I had a great time. I remember all my teachers and everything from there, so I really loved Jackson Park. So I might have to go back there for old time's sake and check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest. I love this organization. It's called Freedom Principles of Missouri. And I'm really super pleased to have Byron Keelan, the president, on with me right now. Byron, first of all, good afternoon to you. How you doing?
Doing great. Just getting ready for the cold front to come through.
Right, exactly. So I'm so happy to see you guys out there really muscularly supporting this special session for initiative petition reform and this new congressional map. And so you guys are really pushing this and trying to get enough signatures and that kind of thing also to get that thing going. So how's that effort going? And I guess obviously the initiative petition reform is really when it comes to freedom principles, that would be the ultimate in a freedom principle to have a decent, streamlined, clean initiative petition process.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important because, we've seen over the last, 2 or 3 election cycles, how dramatically our Constitution has been corrupted with the marijuana industry and with the abortion industry and even, the Proposition A aspect of things, with forcing companies on a minimum wage aspect. And so, we need to get a initiative petition process in here that protects Missouri's Constitution. We're the testing grounds for a lot of these liberal think tanks and things, like the George Soros Foundation and the 1630 Fund and all these other groups that fund put their $1 billion into these groups. And then they come in here and say, oh, well, we only have a simple majority, so let's test out our left-wing policies on Missouri.
Yeah.
And, and get them to go. And so we need initiative petition reform to stop that. And then we also need a congressional map that actually represents the true voters of Missouri. If you look at the current 6-2 map, you have Sam Graves in the 6th district representing the whole upper third of Missouri. So you ask me, how is someone in Hannibal going to get the same kind of representation from somebody over in St. Joseph, Missouri, from a U.S. congressman? It's just too large of an area to cover for a congressperson. And, we have, that map is kind of gerrymandered itself, the way that they've drawn these districts. And so actually the 7-1 map actually gives, I think, a little bit more fair representation in Missouri, because these districts will be more cleverly drawn versus trying to getting the Joe Biden auto pen signature to draw our districts for us.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it tells you everything you need to know when you talk about how we are the testing ground. And one of the reasons, as you pointed out, was because of this majority of this voting pattern on these petitions. But also, though, we have one of the loosest initiative petition processes in the country, and so of course they're going to be attracted to it like bees to honey.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. And so we're trying to, we've sent out a press release a couple weeks ago asking the governor to call on joining the Freedom Caucus's call to call for a special session on IP reform and pressing of the 7-1 map. And then what we've also are doing is doing an online petition. So it's not any kind of formal petition, but what we want is your listeners to add their voice to to our efforts to emphasize the importance that Missourians want initiative petition reform, want a map that represents the true voter outcomes of Missouri. I mean, Donald Trump won 110 of 114 counties in 2024. We should be drawing a map that represents that, not giving a deference to, Emmanuel Cleaver in Kansas City.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So people can go online, right, and
yes,
check it out at freedomprinciples.com. It's principles or principle.com?
No, freedomprincipalmo.org.
Okay, good. Perfect. Yeah, that's great. And, again, this is one of those things where, I think the process is there. And when it is used correctly or ethically, with the initiative petitions process, then that's fine. But really what it becomes is just a tool to end around representative government. And that's the way Missouri has been experiencing it. And oftentimes it's only done really not for any other reason, but to create a attraction to certain parties' vote or whatever at the elections. They kind of put that ball in play and get people to the polls. So
exactly. I mean, the Proposition 8 on the minimum wage thing this was one of these left-wing wacko union groups that came in and said, $20 is too high, $10 is too low, but $15 is just right. So we'll throw an initiative petition on that. George Soros came in and funded more than 50% of that initiative to get that on the ballot. And so we have to stop this, because the only way the left can legislate in Missouri is through our ballot initiative process. They know that their ideas are so bad that they can't get them through the legislature. Even as moderate as our legislature is, a lot of those bad ideas don't get through. And so they have to use our weak ballot initiative process to get their things passed, like the wage or abortion issue and things. And that's how they're getting their stuff through, and it's having huge impacts on Missouri.
Yeah, I think you're right. And oftentimes too, when we've talked with people from the Show Me Institute and Brenda Talent, and then of course they also stuff a bunch of stuff in there that really is unrelated to the headline on the initiative petition. So it's also really done so sneakily that it's and we wind up surprised. Oh, I didn't know that was in there. Oh, I didn't know that was in there. I mean, Clean Missouri is probably the great example of that, but there are plenty of others.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the marijuana amendment, you had the whole DEI. We're trying to get rid of DEI, but the thing is that we actually have to amend our constitution to get a government position dealing with DEI out of Missouri. So we can eliminate it as much as we want, but there still is a constitutional position in the government that was created by Amendment 3 from 2022. And so, we're our own worst enemy by not passing initiative petition reform. We were close in 2024, except for Mary Elizabeth Coleman decided that, she didn't want to fight for this. And so, and that gave us the abortion in Missouri. And
okay,
the fact is that when you look at all these maps, none of these things would pass.
Okay, buddy. Well, thank you. I'm out of time here, but Byron Keelan, thank you so much. Check it out, people. freedomprincipalmo.org is where you can sign that petition. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good one.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, they're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Sivia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott.
Hurricane Aaron will spare the U.S. East Coast a direct landfall, but will stir up life-threatening surf conditions. That would be along the entire Atlantic coast from Florida to Canada's maritime provinces. Emergency officials and the National Weather Service pleading with people to use caution and stay out of the water at the beach to avoid hazardous rip currents that often cause death during the offshore hurricanes. Highway 12 through the Outer Banks expected to be impassable for several days now. President Trump says he will not send U.S. troops to Ukraine. White House correspondent Greg Clugston has more.
At Monday's summit with Ukraine's president and European leaders, Donald Trump said the U.S. will help the European effort to secure Ukraine, and he did not rule out sending American troops. That promise of support was praised by European and NATO leaders. But during a Fox News interview on Tuesday, the president offered his assurances that U.S. forces won't be defending Ukraine's border. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And 3 more Republican governors have authorized the deployment of National Guard troops to Washington. Correspondent Ben Thomas has the update.
Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana are the latest states sending National Guard troops to the nation's capital. Those states' Republican governors joining their counterparts in Ohio, West Virginia, and South Carolina in backing President Trump's show of force in Washington, aimed at cracking down on crime and boosting immigration enforcement. The number of Guard troops detailed to D.C. now totals more than 1,100. About 800 troops had already been called up from the D.C. National Guard. Ben Thomas, Washington.
The Dow dropping 17 points, the NASDAQ composite losing 277. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys. And I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we finally reached the last really hot day of this heat wave. The high temperature should make it into the low to mid 90s today, maybe up to about 94 before the clouds build up. And we see a few spotty thunderstorms this afternoon. Some of those could be locally heavy, slow movers like we've seen over the past few days. But the good news is it won't be as hot tomorrow. The high temperature about 87 degrees, still a little on the muggy side, but some really nice stuff coming this weekend and into next week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
It's a brand new year. Tim Jones to tell you about the brand new things happening at The Hideout, famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music and events, a fantastic game room, and of course, the food. The Hideout has a brand new menu featuring their world famous wings, the best handcrafted burgers, new items like the signature Sunset Dip and Dave's Chili, and a second location at Sugar Creek Golf Course in beautiful High Ridge. Experience The Hideout while enjoying a round of golf. Come in for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout, hideoutsportsbar.com, hideoutsportsbar.com. We'll definitely see you there.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
like this without a reason. Another promise falling through another season passes by you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, happy to be with you. Estlin over there. And just a follow-up to the car show appearances. I was greeted in the hallway with a chorus of derision. They pelted me with rocks and garbage for calling that beautiful Challenger a Barracuda. It's a Challenger. You know what, though? It might also be, I almost called it a Matador, you know.
Mr. Kepke, do you have anything to say?
Yes, what's a Matador?
What's a Matador from my old days? But yeah, no, beautiful Challenger adorned with the News Talk insignia. Friday, 8/22. This Friday, Cars and Cigars at Lit in Chesterfield, 6 to 10. I'm going to pop by my old Jackson Park Elementary there in New City and see Ethan in the Challenger, the News Talk STL Challenger on Saturday, 8/23, and get all the times and everything else. It's supporting law enforcement beyond the badge. Check out newstalkstl.com. So I'm going to wander out there on Saturday. See that. I think by now, everybody who knows all the terrible things that I did in grade school are not there anymore. So it's safe to go back. I was talking about this a while back because, you know, you guys, if you're in around my age, and it wasn't until after we left school that we realized that half the people who were teaching us and doing all this kind of stuff were World War II veterans, for crying out loud. Like my gym teacher, Mr. Stricker, Mr. Deerdorf, lost an eye in World War II. He had a glass eye. Great guy. But these guys were wonderful people, but they were veterans. Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham was my 5th grade teacher, and he always wore a suit and tie. Very, very buttoned up, great guy, but was also a World War II veteran. So it's kind of a cool thing. I didn't really realize it, though, until after. You know, I know we learned about World War II and things like that in school, but I didn't really find out until afterwards. I had one of my favorite people in my life as a young person was my black coach, Mr. Newsom. And he was also a veteran of Vietnam. And Mr. Newsom, because my dad, after when I was about 11 or so, had to leave town, work out of town, do all this kind of stuff. So he was hardly ever around. And I love him. I mean, we were thick as thieves, but he was hardly ever around. And so I was, so Mr. Newsom used to come because I was a baseball player on the Tigers and Corey League. And Mr. Newsom would come and pick me up and make me go to practice and make me go to the games. And I have a feeling it might have been because I was the only white guy on the team. So I was actually I was the original DEI hire on my Corey League team, if you can believe that, back in 1974 or 5 or whatever it was. So I was a DEI hire for my team, and I was a shortstop, and I was the worst shortstop on the planet. I get to the point where I was out there sometimes, and I would pray to God that the ball didn't come to me. I'm not kidding you. It was that kind of crazy, but it was the Tigers, and it was cool. We had the uniforms like the A's, so we had like white shoes, and it was green and white and green and gold. I mean, and it was pretty cool. But no, I do remember Mr. Newsom, Vietnam War veteran, who would come and pick me up at the to go to practice, everything else. Made sure I was there. He's kind of like my surrogate dad at the time. So it's really cool memories of U City and Jackson Park and beyond. All right. So this happened. You know, the Anti-Defamation League, you can say what you want about it. They're a very liberal organization. I think they do good work on behalf of Jewish people and the anti-Semitism and that kind of thing. They didn't give a whole lot for the reward. You know, the reward for the burning 3 cars in Clayton, one of them owned by a person who lives in Clayton who also happened to be home after working for the IDF. And so they spray painted all of this anti-Semitic graffiti and all that kind of stuff all over the burned cars and all over the place. And the response was fairly tepid. I didn't see too many, for instance, of the liberal Jewish community coming out and decrying this or anything. It was too bad. I think the reward is up to like $30,000. Like, well, and that's just like 3 different people putting money in. Like, well, it must be important to you to catch these guys. 30 grand? That's all? Anyway, the Anti-Defamation League is kind of like the Southern Poverty Law Center sometimes. They run around and they label people as extremists and threats and that kind of stuff, and they're very reckless and careless when they do so. The Southern Poverty Law Center is probably worse because they themselves are just a bunch of jackbooted left-wing crazies, but the media loves to quote them. But now, apparently, there's a list. The Anti-Defamation League has a whole list of hate terms, and they've just announced that America First is now added to the glossary of extremism and hate terms. America First. And of course, I'm not burdened by worrying about that. I will say America First over and over again. America First. America First. Over and over again. But oftentimes what they do is they use this kind of setup as a trap so that if you repeat it, somehow you're repeating a term that is associated with hate and extremism. And anything can happen to you then, right? Get canceled, do whatever. But this is how they explain adding America First to the to their list. America First is a term that references the World War II era America First Committee. No, it doesn't. Who? I've never even heard that description of America First, and is used by extremists in anti-Semitic, racist, and xenophobic ways. America First in conservative circles often refers to an ideology that was promoted by Donald Trump when he ran for office and served in office, which emphasizes American superiority and dominance. And I'm thinking, well, okay, so you just split hairs here, because you describe America First in reference to the World War II era America First Committee, and then you go on to actually refute your whole point, because you're saying, well, actually, in conservative circles, it refers to an ideology that was promoted by Donald Trump, which has nothing to do with the America First Committee. So, I mean, and I'm sure this is the first time you're even hearing that America First is somehow associated with some World War II era thing that never even occurred to me. And the other words that are code words for hate, according to the Anti-Defamation League, is "my heart goes out to you." And the ADL says that too is a extremist and hateful comment and because Elon Musk is hateful because he had that whole thing where he took his hand and my heart goes out to, then they said it was a Nazi salute. The other one is every single time, according to the ADL, that is code for the hatred of Jews. And I'm now again, I guess if you are learning to be an extremist and a hate group participant, these are all terms that you could possibly now use, right? Because, I didn't know that. So now you know. So in many ways, the ADL is basically giving a lot of these crazies a primer for code words that are actually anti-Semitic. I would never imagine every single time would be a code for anti-Semitism. Noticing, like I'm noticing. Have you noticed? Also, according to the ADL, is a dangerous phrase indicative of hatred. So I'm like, wow, I'm learning something new every single day. Even the Constitution, to a certain degree, is a hate phrase in itself. This is according to the ADL. The 14th Amendment. When sovereign citizens talk about the 14th Amendment a lot, and some of these people who are the sovereign citizen types do talk about that, but the reality is it's not intended in the Constitution to be anything short of the of any kind of hate language. And so really what's happening is you're setting up a monitoring system that it's interesting. I don't see, I guess, the chants that are going on college campuses, rivers to the sea, river to the sea, and all that kind of stuff, kind of listed in there. It's so interesting how some of these groups, they have such a tepid response to real hatred and real extremism, like the tepid response to. I mean, they did call that out, what happened in Clayton. I get it. They did make a statement and did a news conference, all that kind of stuff. So I get it. But overall, it seems like there's such a tepid response to real examples of hate. Like you've probably heard by now about the Proud Boys billboard over on the east side. And all these people are going to these meetings. I think it's in Carlisle or whatever. And they're all really upset about this Proud Boys. It's like a recruitment billboard. And the Post-Dispatch did a story on it, of course, called what happened on January 6th an insurrection, which actually has not been adjudicated. That's a term that is used pejoratively, and it actually is a real thing. But if it was really an insurrection, everybody there would right now be having seats in Congress. So it wasn't an insurrection. An insurrection is actually a term that goes from start to finish. and an insurrection is is about like a revolution, except you're taking it by force and violence, whatever, what have you, and undermining the government and doing all that kind of thing. So just using that term in a story casually like that, it is a thing. It's like an insurrection happens. And if this actually was an insurrection, the government would have been toppled, and it wasn't. But yeah, all these people are so upset about this Proud Boys thing, billboard and everything else. But the outcry among regular, average, everyday Americans, some of the same ones who don't like the Proud Boys billboard, or even for that matter, the newspapers that report on it, have a stronger reaction to the Proud Boys billboard than they do to anti-Semitism on the campus of WashU. In fact, they wind up defending those students. They go to bat for them in the pages of the newspaper and in some reaches of local coverage and everything else. And like nobody ever came to a city council meeting over the racist anti-Semites, pro-Hamas demonstrators on college campuses, even here in Missouri. It's crazy. And so this is the problem, is that these people are putting crosshairs on normal, average, everyday people, and indeed even putting a crosshair on the America First movement, which is completely and totally wrong and indefensible. And the ADL has to know that. Well, America First refers to the America First Committee, and also, by the way, the Trump ideology or the Trump campaign. It's like, well, okay, but that's not linked to the America First Committee. So this kind of game playing is really dangerous. I'm not quite sure there are too many people who are going to really be punished for using America First and everything else. I know I won't be. So I have two words for the ADL's putting America First on the list. Two words. America First. This is Common Sense Radio. Happy Tuesday. It's the Allman Report on Newstalk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
If you run down Highway K in O'Fallon, you will see a flooring mecca. It's actually a brand new flooring mecca put together by a not so brand new member of the flooring community. Brian is so good at what he does. Brian Emmon over there at O'Fallon Family Flooring, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. He comes out of decades in the flooring business with another company. He took a lot of those people with him and has created this really wonderful company that not only has the most variety you're going to find in flooring, but also the best pricing you're going to find and installation. There's no reason to invest in flooring if it is not installed correctly, my friends. And that is really something that you need to pay attention to. So Brian tells me that a lot of his installers are generational installers. So the installers he has now, their dads were installers. And when they were little kids, they went on the installing with their dads and learned the trade, so to speak. So those people are top notch. When it comes to variety, O'Fallon Family Floors has just expanded. So they have a whole another area of their store now that has yet more variety on the vinyl plank, the wood flooring, the laminates, everything else, carpeting, you name it. I'll tell you a quick story because this is a story we learned right at the very beginning of their sponsorship of free Common Sense Conservative Radio. Is some folks went to Lowe's, for instance, and they had all set up and everything else, and they had a big bid and all this kind of thing, and they bought this flooring, and they decided, why don't we just stop in here and check it out, and just to get a second opinion on the flooring. Well, they walk in, and there's so much more variety than even they had at the big box stores. They were shocked that there was so much variety. On top of that, Brian also managed to put together a plan that saved them like $1,500. I mean, it's really pretty incredible. He also has a mobile design unit. On the side of that unit, by the way, and also on the window of the store, there's a lion. And I'm like, I asked him, what was the lion meaning? It's pride. People don't have pride in the flooring business anymore, much less in some other businesses. So I bring back pride to the flooring business, and that's exactly what you're going to get at O'Fallon Family Flooring. O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. It's O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris. How are you, Vic? I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
News, analysis, opinion.
They were looking for the intelligence community assessment.
I don't think statute of limitations are going to impact. That report is pretty damning.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Happy to be with you. 3 martini lunch, people. I'm seeing that Cuomo in New York is refusing to get out of the race and doubling down and everything else. And you know this guy, unfortunately, is going to probably hand the election to Mamdani because all the normal people are going to vote for Adams or Cuomo, make that choice, or Curtis Lewa or whatever. And then Mamdani's going to walk away with it because the vote is all split over there and everything else. And so it's kind of over in Minnesota, same thing. Socialism. Oh, really quickly, by the way, one of the funniest tweets post the Putin meeting from Friday. I wanted to double back on this because I do believe that Sarah Palin is owed an apology for all the times that people made fun of her for saying, I can see Russia from my house. Because this was so interesting how this reporter who was covering the whole thing actually went out on Twitter and admitted this. He goes, you know, looking at a map, I didn't even imagine that there was so little separation between the United States via Alaska and Russia. And the fact of the matter is, it's right across the Bering Strait there. And so you guys remember, and some of you might have even fallen into that, and I just ignored it because I knew I'd had enough of all the attacks on Sarah Palin anyway. But when she said that, that was actually technically true. I mean, she might not be able to really physically see it, but basically it's really right across the street from Alaska. So whenever you can mention it, please tell whoever that they need to apologize to Sarah Palin retroactively for making fun of her and deriding her over the I can see Russia from my house line. All right, back to socialism. So you guys know John Kennedy's great. He's kind of like, he reminds me a little bit of Mr. Haney from Green Acres. I'm not trying to demean him. I'm just saying that he does remind me of, because when I hear his voice, it reminds me of Mr. Haney, because I was a big Green Acres fan. That was that Zsa Zsa Gabor or Sister Eva? I think it was Zsa Zsa. And what's his nuts? He's a great Broadway actor. I forgot his name, who was the lead guy. And then, of course, there was Mr. Haney. He was always up to something, you know. Eddie Albert. That's right. Eddie Albert. So he was always, kind of running around with his hat and kind of always trying to make a deal here and do all that kind of stuff. But anyway, nobody better than John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy, in using his wordsmithing to talk in this case about how socialists rose to power in the Democrat Party. Because right now, that's really all the Democrats have left is the promise of just giving stuff away to people, because they really have no rudder as it relates to foreign policy. They have no rudder as it relates to crime. They have no rudder as it relates to education. Yesterday, remember I told you that more than 1 million kids starting school this week are experiencing the wonderment of school choice thanks to Donald Trump. Not necessarily thanks to Republicans, but thanks to Donald Trump, who got the Republicans to push that kind of thing. So they have nothing. I mean, they're out there locking arms with, and just a little later on the show, I'll show you how Gavin Newsom is even defending the guy, the illegal alien who wound up killing those 3 people on that highway, taking a U-turn on his semi. Unbelievable. Newsom's defending all that. But they're defending criminals and they're defending government waste. They're even defending giving Social Security to illegal aliens and everything else. And so they really don't have much except to go into some of the more broader reaches of the youth or whatever and just promise to give them free stuff. So John Kennedy says that's pretty much how socialists wound up rising to power in the Democrat Party.
How did we get here? Well, we stopped teaching our kids about the Cold War and Stalin's death camps in communist Soviet Union and the fact that Mao and communist China killed tens of millions of people, but also because the mainstream wing of the party is scared to death of the loon wing. They won't speak up, and they don't stand for anything anymore. All they stand for is whatever is against whatever President Trump stands for. That's why we find ourselves in the extraordinary position of mainstream Democrats have now come out firmly and passionately in favor of crime in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, they have nothing left. And he's right. I mean, and that leads to the other problem. And that is some of these Democrats, especially as it relates to D.C., what they have wound up doing is I heard this guy, I can't remember his name, Jonathan Capehart or something, on one of the Sunday Fox shows or something. You're getting a lot of these black communication leaders and opinion leaders who are coming out and trying to split the atom here and saying, well, we really don't need the military. We just need better schools and we need more jobs. All the things that, by the way, Trump is creating, by the way. But it does take a little bit of time. But they're also, and they say we need more police. Now, if you could imagine the irony of people on the left now going on television to say that we need more police after supporting for years the defund the police movement through going after people in law enforcement and putting a target on the backs of law enforcement and everything else. And they also are going after the ICE agents and everything else. So they really they're not really in favor of policing. Because on one hand, we need more police to fight crime in DC, but we don't want the police to fight human trafficking and the illegal alien problem. We don't want that. So you can't have it both ways. And you've spent so much time diminishing. And there's a reason also in many of these cities why the police forces are down. And it's not necessarily because they have been defunded. It's because there are very few people right now who want to be police officers in a big city. Who want to step up because usually the higher reaches of the government, usually Democrats, don't have their backs. They're considered basically the enemy on the streets, thanks to the news media portraying police as some kind of Gestapo. And so, of course, you're not going to get a bunch of people who want to work. Like, for instance, let's just take the city of St. Louis. Well, who would want to work in atmosphere in the city of St. Louis as a law enforcement officer when even before now, but when Gardner was around, even the circuit attorney's office, you'd go out, you'd arrest people for committing a crime, and then all of a sudden you'd have these people just turned out by the prosecuting attorney who wasn't going to follow through on the prosecution. And so it's a waste of your time. And not only that, you're endangering your life to do this. So to John Kennedy's point, these guys have nothing. And you're probably thinking, well, then we probably really don't need to really worry too much about this. We don't even need to talk about it because this is going to be so easy. Well, true. I mean, I do believe to a certain degree when George Will said, and I played you the soundbite a couple weeks ago, that maybe it actually would be the best thing if Mom Donnie won. I don't often quote George Will because he was a Trump hater and everything else. But just for the sake of argument, he said, maybe it's better that Mom Donnie gets elected so people can see how socialism fails. See how government-run grocery stores and all this kind of stuff, see how it fails and how miserable they are. And, President Trump and the others could take that tactic. You could literally just simply not help New York out. You could not help DC out and just let these people, wallow in their own garbage there in these inner cities. But that's not what President Trump wants. I mean, when he says make America great again and America first, he doesn't mean just certain parts of America. He doesn't mean just certain cities and things like that. And I think that truly is a feather in his cap to have this idea that, no, I don't want Chicago to die. I don't want New York to go south. I don't want these really great storied cities, San Francisco even, or even for that matter, LA. I don't want these to die. I want to save them from their leadership, and they're getting so much pushback, and it's so crazy. And I think what it's doing is it's shedding a light for a lot of voters on the leadership. I guarantee you the elections that are coming up in California and LA are going to be vastly different. Karen Bass is going to be in a huge amount of trouble and everything else. And this new mayor, we thought maybe he'd be better than Beetlejuice, but he's not. He's worse. And we'll see how it goes. St. Louis, to a certain degree, already turned that corner in electing Kara Spencer, who, as the mayor of the city of St. Louis, and I'm not talking about just electing white people. That's not what my solution is. I'm just saying that Kara Spencer is more along the line of the Francis Slay St. Louis Democrat, as opposed to some of these other clowns who were just corrupt and everything else. So St. Louis has already taken those steps, and I won't be surprised if some of the other cities do the same thing. A long time ago, I brought this up because there are a lot of people in the trucking industry warning about the number of individuals who are here illegally or who are working for nothing, who are driving semis on the road right now. And I don't know whether you guys are able to see this video or in tune to it with that illegal alien killing 3 people on a highway. Really bad news, but it's even worse when you hear the story about this guy's background and why he was here to begin with. We'll have that for you on the other side here. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
So I just closed another home. Well, I didn't close it. I sold it. I got my good friend. Well, she became a friend because I became her agent, and we saw a lot of homes together, really trying hard. A couple of homes we lost because, somebody else outbid us, whatever. Finally nailed one down yesterday. And so, of course, Jordan is her guy. He's her lender. I set them up together because I knew that Jordan would take good care of her. I knew that Jordan, even if there were some levels of credit problems, whatever, would make a loan work at that pre-approval letter for her at the top level, would make sure that come closing time, her closing costs are minimal to zero, which is what exactly he's going to do. And that's what they do at Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie's, I call it, Stewie's American Mortgage. Stewie is the dad, and Jordan's the son. They got a whole staff of people. It's a family-run operation, been that way for decades. And all you have to do is Google the bagel loan, which is what Stewie came up with. He's from Brooklyn, and he thought, hey, this is fantastic. I'm going to just do a bagel loan because that basically technically is a zero. And plus, hey, I'm from Brooklyn, so bagels are great. Anyway, that's what it is. It's zero closing costs on either you buying a home or in a situation where you are debt consolidating or you are refinancing. By the way, a lot of people are like, I don't know, I don't want to refinance. Believe me, the rates might be a little higher, but on balance, when it comes to closing costs and all that other stuff, what's going to happen is you're still going to wind up with more money in your pocket, and it's still going to be an easier experience for you. As long as you go with my guys at the bagel loan, all you have to do is Google the bagel loan, Stewie's American Mortgage, and Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewart'sAMC.com is the website, but just Google the bagel loan. When you do call them, and I encourage you, have a 5-minute conversation with Jordan. He'll help you out. He'll let you know. Tell him I sent you, and they'll work on a bunch of things for you, regardless of what your problems have been in the past. Whatever, if you have some credit issues, whatever, they'll work through those for you. Stewie and Jordan can make it work. Google the bagel loan.
You and I might have something in common, back pain. I can tell you where I go for help, Esquire Sports Medicine, the spine of St. Louis. They can put athletes back on the field so they can clearly help us. Esquire Sports Medicine, hands-on chiropractic help on Big Bend, just north of Highway 40, 314-644-0885, EsquireSportsMedicine.com, EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
A legendary weekend is coming to the Lou. Don't miss the Stiefel Charity Classic presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Watch PGA Tour champions compete and enjoy a live performance by music sensation OAR at Friday's community concert presented by CarShield. Tickets start at just $20. Kids, military, veterans, and first responders get in free. Get your tickets today at StiefelCharityClassic.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
So now Trump has met with Putin, Zelensky. What happens next? Everyone is waiting to see.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
She didn't care, but anyway, I told her we'd still be friends, and she didn't care, but anyway.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, happy to be with you. And I love Jefferson County and everything else, but I'm going to show a home in Festus after the show, and Man, is it you guys go down to Jefferson County a lot? They're doing construction on 55 there, and it's a bear. I love showing homes, but I'm like, I gotta go past this. Damn it. Hillsboro. You know, it's like, damn. Take me forever. See if it's fruitful, however. Even if the traffic's bad, satisfaction in putting somebody into their dream home will be great. You know, Rick Pogue's going to be on the show with me tomorrow. Messaged me after my discussion of this weird James Comey video yesterday. And he said, you know, there's a good chance that Comey, this is kind of out there, but I think it makes a lot of sense. He said, you know, Comey might be doing this to try to get the Swifties on his side for when he's indicted. Which would be interesting. I can't imagine. I mean, half of the Swifties out there don't even know who James Comey is. And they don't want him on their Swiftie chat or whatever he called it. I can't remember what he said. And they actually just don't want him around. They don't want him even at the concert. It's kind of like, you know, like with Facebook. It's like for a lot of people, younger people especially, once their parents went on Facebook, it was like, okay, I'm done with Facebook. I'm not going to be on Facebook anymore. Instagram's kind of getting that way, and TikTok, yeah, so far so good. There are a lot of different people on there, but yeah, once you get you and your parents are on the same social media platform, the likelihood of you staying on it usually would be pretty slim. That's for sure. All right. Before I get to this thing that happened with those poor people being killed by that illegal alien truck driver, John Dickerson, this is a new one. He's over there at CBS, of course, and he's upset mostly because President Trump didn't have Putin arrested when he came here.
Eastern Ukraine, the site of the deadliest conflict in Europe since World War II. For 3.5 years, the conflict has taken more than 1 million lives, upended global alliances, and sent the economy of the world into turmoil.
Yeah, maybe that, John, is why the war needs to stop. And I'm not quite sure whether or not you think arresting Putin would be in any way a positive move towards peace.
Could a process begun here in Alaska, this former Russian territory, slow and ultimately halt that devastating history? That was the question Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin were here to answer as they held their first meeting since the invasion began.
And he's like, well, and towards the end, he's like, well, you know, Trump should have maybe just arrested him.
He'd land against his will. The outcome Zelensky and European leaders most feared. But by Saturday, the president had reversed course, echoing Putin's demand for a peace deal without a ceasefire, leaving Russia free to fight on and build leverage. Monday, the Ukrainian president...
So anyway, this guy is out of his tree, and these people will not accept any kind of, in any way, shape, or form, any kind of effort to have peace or whatever else, because I think that they love war too. As I say, we're the new hippies and they're the new, well, we used to be the right-wing crazies, but they're like the new John Birch Society or whatever it happens to be. All right, so Gavin Newsom's press office made this really horrible accusation against the Trump administration. So, as you know, California is a sanctuary state, and there was an illegal alien who obtained his truck driving license, his CDL, in the California and killed 3 Americans. And this is on a Florida highway. 3 Americans. He made an illegal U-turn on a highway. So what he was trying to do, this guy's an idiot. What he was trying to do is, you know, you have those official use only turnarounds on a highway. That's usually where some of the police sit and catch you speeding and that kind of thing. This guy decided he was going to do a U-turn on the highway, and he starts way over in the right-hand lane, almost on the shoulder, and decides he's going to cut all the way across and slip through that little thin official use only part and go the other way. Well, he's turning around, and this poor family, 3 of them in this car, didn't see the truck or whatever, or couldn't stop in time, and went right under the truck, and all 3 of them were killed. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this before anyway, and I'm not saying that an American truck driver wouldn't make that mistake, but an American truck driver wouldn't make that mistake. Just telling you. That's true. So there's been a real problem in the trucking industry where they are seeing a lot of people who either can't speak English, or sometimes they're even illegals who are driving semi-trucks out there, on the interstates. And the fact that you can't really speak English is a huge barrier, because sometimes that means also you can't read it either. And so whether it be signs or whether it be other things, you're out there driving this monster death bullet, and not only are you illegal, but you can't even speak English. Anyway, it was revealed that this guy received a work permit from the Biden regime in June 2021. And this was after the Trump administration denied him one in September of 2020. So he just basically waited until a Democrat or Biden was in, or was told it was going to be easier. It basically made it easier for him to get this permit. And even though this illegal did cross in 2018, Biden gave him permission to live and work in the United States, and then California illegally granted him a driver's license. Now, I don't understand how in any way, shape, or form, especially as it relates to a CDL, but I think a car is just as bad. I can't imagine how an illegal alien could get a CDL. I don't know what the process is or whatever. It was just unbelievable that that they would even issue a CDL to this guy. But that's happening all over. This guy is not the only illegal alien with a CDL. You have to know that. You have to assume that. So anyway, Governor Newsom issued this press release, and here's what it said. Hey, genius. The federal government, Trump administration, already confirmed that this guy meets federal and state immigration requirements. You issued him a work permit. As usual, the Trump administration is either lying or clueless. And then he said, by the way, who was president in 2018? Well, I mean, we had a border problem in 2018. This guy crossed through Mexico. That's how he got in here. And one of the reasons why, when we were talking about building the wall and the human trafficking problem, is that we were getting a lot of people, not just South Americans, coming across the Mexican border. We were getting Chinese nationals, Iranians, Yemeni, and this guy who came also through Mexico. And by the way, President Trump in 2018, when this guy was coming through, was being fought tooth and nail by the Democrats to keep the borders open. When he was trying to close them, they were fighting him every single step of the way. And then what happened is the Department of Homeland Security decided they were going to issue a response, and it basically just made mincemeat out of Gavin Newsom, who, once again, and here's the problem, Gavin Newsom doesn't do his own tweets. They're done for him by some people who are pretty stupid people and don't know a whole lot. They're the ones who are doing the, fake Trump tweets and making fun of him and doing all this kind of stuff. And they're just not very well put together individuals. But this is what the Department of Homeland Security said in response to Gavin Newsom. He said, false. Harjinder Singh is in the United States illegally, and his work authorization was rejected under the Trump administration on September 14th of 2020. It was later approved under the Biden administration June 9th of 2021. And it's the state of California that issues the commercial driver's licenses. So it was a swing and a miss for Gavin Newsom. So these guys, again, they're even fighting the truth. They're even embracing the lies because they just can't face up to the fact that Americans have had enough of their bad ideas and enough of their bad processes. One of the things that you have to imagine, I wish they could find this out, and maybe they will. So if this guy's work authorization was rejected under the Trump administration on September 4th of 2020, how was it later approved under the Biden administration? What was the process? What were the calculations made? And was there even any record, or did they even bother to see it or look at it or whatever of his past application for work authorization that was rejected under the Trump administration? So why isn't that in a file someplace? The chances are pretty good that it is, but the Biden administration didn't care because they were so hell-bent on stuffing this country with illegal aliens and foreigners and everybody else who they would also like to have vote. And that's my next question that I will try to find out between now and tomorrow, because I guarantee you, if this guy had a CDL, he also voted. There's almost no question about it. Even though he is here illegally, he probably also voted. And that's going to be another part of the story, I'm sure. So we'll see. All right. Coming up, Tony Colombo and Colombo and Company. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day on this beautiful Tuesday. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Tell Grandma Becky thanks for listening to the show, or I'll just tell her myself. Grandma Becky, thanks for listening to the show. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor-fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the college.